Good evening, everyone, and welcome to this evening's Beech Grove Redevelopment Commission on Thursday, October the 16th, 2025. I will call this meeting to order at 6:01 p.m. As usual, in lieu of a roll call, I ask each member to introduce themselves, starting to my far right with Phil.
Phil Davis, council appointee.
Jenny Wenzel.
Matthew Kochiva, President.
David Copenhaver, Vice President.
Andrew Noon, Secretary.
I will note that our liaison from the school board, Rob Chalice, could not be here this evening, but we do have a quorum, and we'll move into just our first time of business, just a quick update on the developing the requirements for a vendor to assist the RDC with the execution of the new redevelopment plan. And other RDC matters. So David, from our last meeting, I know that you were working on some bullet points, what those requirements are going to be. How's everything going? And my more a question that that I'd like to get answered is that we're going to have a document ready so we can discuss this potentially next month in November.
Great. Okay. Thank you, Matthew. Okay. Well. Commissioners, I'm very excited to report that we're nearing the end of the process of having our redevelopment and economic development plan approved, not just locally, but also by the state. I think we are maybe 30 days away from that. We're pretty close, but I do believe that it will be completed by the end of the year. We've worked really hard to get to this place, and we've had lots of people involved, and I'm very excited that we're to the place where that will probably be approved by between now and December 31st. In anticipation of that, we have set aside about $150,000 for the next phase of that plan and implementation of that plan. And I've been working really hard behind the scenes to prepare for that. And part of that has been looking at how do we take the existing plan and move it forward. The second part of what I've been doing is looking at what parts of that plan did the commission and other people in the community think were important aspects of economic development and redevelopment that kind of fill the voids of the place that the plan didn't address. So I'm trying to find places where we use the plan to launch forward with. I'm also trying to find places where we have gaps that I think that still could be filled in the plan in the next phase. And I've been trying to balance those two things together. And so the approach that I've taken has been a little exhausting, to be honest with you, but it's been very effective. And what I've done is I've been meeting with the mayors and the RDC and the planning people from lots of other cities throughout the state who have already gone through what we're getting ready to go through. And looking at the models that they used in terms of taking their plan through second and third and phase developments. And I've been so honored that the mayor of Carmel and Columbus and Greenwood and Franklin and different cities have invited me in to talk with them, meet with them, and do tours of their cities and see the tools that they used and the processes that they used and the models that they used, and then eventually take walking tours of their cities and see how it turned into infrastructure, physical buildings and parks and gateways and just, I'll just say, incredible things that I just wasn't aware of that are happening in all of these cities that are really impressive. And I've gotten an incredible education over the last couple of months, even though I've had a difficult time over the last few months with my own cancer problems, but it's just been a little bit overwhelming how impressive other cities have done their economic development and redevelopment, I guess maybe that I just wasn't aware of. Okay. And so what I've tried to do is, for us, for you, I've tried to filter those ideas and bring it down to some of the most fundamental things, or what I'm trying to say is I look for the commonalities of success of what they've done in each of those cities to bring those ideas back to us so that we have sort of the best of breed ideas to implement with our plan. And so that's what I'm working on. That's what I'm continuing to do. I will just say that sometimes in the discovery process of this, you find out what you don't know, and that leads you to more of what you don't know. And so I just said the word overwhelming, but it is a little overwhelming, but it's exciting also, because I think that there are some fantastic ideas that we can bring in, that some things that we maybe hadn't thought of yet, that will take the burden off the taxpayer, because it seems like in the world we live in, we keep burdening our taxpayers with more and higher taxes. And these are the kinds of things that other cities have found where they can take the burden off the taxpayer while developing their cities in ways that are really incredible. And so that's what I want to share with you tonight, what I've found in this first level of discovery that I hope to continue before we make any long-term commitments about what we're doing. And I hope that also that we'll consider that this plan is a living plan, that this plan will just be what we have so far as a sort of a framework that we'll continue to build on year after year after year, and hopefully continue to do what we're doing now, which is to learn from others in terms of the model. So with that said, the first thing that I'll tell you that I learned that seems significant that I want to share with you as commissioners is this. Other cities are looking at projects and saying, oh, we'd love to do that project, but we just can't afford it, you know? It's just like, it's a little overwhelming to do this kind of thing. We don't have that kind of money in our city budget to accomplish this, whatever it is. And so what many cities, not just in the state of Indiana, I'm actually even finding beyond the state of Indiana, that they're saying, hey, why don't we get a sponsor? And what I'm finding is that there are sponsors who are standing in line to become part of these projects where they're saying, we want to be part of the development of Beech Grove. We want to be part of the development of this community. And we're not asking for much, maybe a little bit of name recognition, but we're willing to give you a significant amount of money to make this project happen, where maybe the project wouldn't have happened if they hadn't been involved. And I think we really need to think outside of our boundaries to adopt those models that are being used in many communities all around us right now in a very successful way. And if you haven't been to Greenwood or Franklin or Carmel or Columbus, I'd highly encourage you to just go down and spend a day in their park or drive down their main street and see it for yourself. It's very, very impressive. Or even contact their mayor or their RDC or whatever and ask them to give you a tour. I've been very impressed with their openness and their honesty of the struggles that they've had, but how they've overcome them with these new models of financing that are cooperative models of financing that are just creative thinking, you know, and it's common sense in a lot of ways once you really look at it, as how things can be built and financed by making the community part of the development. And I'll just maybe pause there for a second and see, does that create any questions for anybody before I move to the next level? Because, I mean, that's saying a lot right there.
I guess I can make a comment. I would say, first off, thank you very much for going out and being able to meet with all of these representatives. Each of the cities that you've mentioned here are definitely on the upswing, so I think being able to take information from them and being able to use it forward. I also think as well, too, that these people can probably also help recommend potential vendors for us to use in the implementation as well.
You're absolutely right. I'm glad you said that, because I forgot to mention that. That was one of the very first things they started doing, is saying, hey, oh, would you like an introduction to this person or that person or this person? And I haven't even been asking for people, and I'm already getting overwhelmed with people who are saying, well, how can we help Beech Grove? And so I might need a little extra time to figure all this out, because it's pretty big. And I think that we've overlooked something potentially that could be extremely helpful in terms of reaching the goals that we have developed in this economic development plan and redevelopment plan that we've now gotten help with REA. And I don't want to, no, let me just say, REA was wonderful in helping us develop this plan to where we have it. And I don't think we could have done it without them. I know we couldn't have. they are experts. Everyone knows that REA is probably one of the top companies in the Midwest that does this. And so I feel honored that we've had them to get us to this point. And it seems that when I tell other people that our plan was developed by REA, they are even more encouraged that, oh, you've had the best already. Let's help these guys. So it's really been fantastic. I'm really honored that I've gotten to do this, and I feel so honored that I get to continue to be a liaison to the RDC as we take this to the next level.
Sure. Okay. Questions for folks? From folks? Yeah, just keep us apprised even in between meetings and whatnot, because at some point, and hopefully next month, I'd like to get to figure out a target of when we're going to get this out, so we can know what the vendors, so we know when we can start interviewing vendors, and have something set up in the, let's say, first quarter of next year and everything. So, as soon as we have that vendor and we know what we want to ask of them to help us with and do and everything, the sooner we can get into the next phase of implementation and adding this plan and everything. So,
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you. I'm also wanting to move forward as quick as possible. I also think it's important that we take the time to do the discovery so that we get on the right footing.
Yes.
And I wouldn't want to mess up early on in the too early. The planning at this, the thing that I'm hearing from all the city is take the time to plan.
Mm-hmm.
They're all saying don't feel too rushed.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to want to move forward quickly. Take the time to plan.
Sure.
Get people involved.
Mm-hmm.
Get the community involved. Get the investors involved. And I hear that everywhere.
Okay.
And so I just say that I'm trying to take that advice, respectively.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
think it's good advice. I mean,
Yeah.
it's better to make sure we know who we're going to use versus rushing, but at the same time, we want to get this done.
But yes, and obviously, most importantly, finding the right person, but also making sure that both sides, we understand the tasks that we are setting for them, the help that we are asking for, so we don't have to go in and amend this contract when we find it out. So yes, I wholeheartedly agree. Let's make sure that we have down what we want
Yeah.
for them, and all parties understand before we enter into that contract.
I think the net of it is that we're learning a new model, and this new model, I think, may take a little time for us to adapt and adjust, or even adapt and adopt.
Okay. All right.
I did want to add something now that I think about it. This has been our plan in the sense of bought and paid for and all that, but we can't do any of this without the rest of the city. And however we figured out, we've got to coordinate with the Parks Board and the council and this and that. I had an event down in Franklin a week and a half ago, whatever it was, and David had come down, and we were walking through the park there, and everything has a sponsor. The bathroom floor had a sponsor. I mean, it was put in by such and such masonry, and they had a little plaque in there. The event we did had, and Jen's business did it as well, 20 sponsors on the sign, along with all of us paying vendor fees, and this was done by the city, and all the sponsors had to pay. And I mean, just there's their water park, their splash park was paid for through a $250,000 grant. There's just, we can't do everything on our own, and I know we don't plan to, but I want the rest of the city to understand that it's not 5 different entities or however many boards we have out there, that if this is going to succeed, we have to have some help. And people can't say, well, we can't get sponsors or we can't do this, because every time we say we can't, then we're not going to do it. And I have heard we can't so much in this city for so long that we can try. Mm-hmm. And like I said, walking through that I can't remember the name of the park, was actually a flood zone, and they've turned it into this beautiful park with electrical outlets for food trucks and this and that, and a huge 5,000, 4,000 seat amphitheater and all that, and just sponsors galore. There's money out there, there's grants out there. We got to stop saying we can't. And, we're not going to do it all ourselves, so the council wants to jump in, and the mayor wants to jump in, and the Parks Board wants to jump in. Feel free to give us ideas or whatever, or the public for that matter, obviously.
Okay.
But it's not just us. We're not standing up here saying we're going to do this, we're going to do that. We're we've started the ball rolling. We're going to push it along, but we need some help.
Okay. All right, thank you. Anyone else? All righty then. We'll see what updates we have next month. We'll move on to our agenda to the 2026 spending plan. Should have put a slash on the agenda, /budget. Just as a refresher for everyone, under a recently enacted law, this was enacted, I believe, in 2024. We had to use it, and all RDCs had to use this law of adopting an annual spending plan starting in the calendar year for 2025. So now we're into our second year. Under the redevelopment laws, all redevelopment commissions must adopt a spending plan in order to spend money on various activities allowed under statute. The spending plan that was developed came out of the DLGF, the Department of Local Government Finance, along with some guidance from, I think, at least one firm that does substantial, research and activity in redevelopment works and everything. So you should recognize this from last year. But essentially, this takes the place of what our budget is. If we want to be able to spend money on certain things, we have to spend it, put it into the plan. We need to adopt this plan and have it essentially filed, sent over to the city council for their records, as well as sent to the Department of Local Government Finance through their uploader, their database, by December 1 of the previous calendar year, so December 1, 2025. If it is not passed, then we don't get to spend any money. In addition, though, as was noted last year, and I believe noted probably when I'll read the bottom, some of the disclaimers, is that it's not clear if this ever can be amended, but it has been written in a fashion where if something comes up, get less revenue, another project comes up that's not really clear on the spending plan, you can amend the spending plan throughout the calendar year. But got to pass one first. Before I read the 4-page document and then put this into a motion so it's just out there on the floor, I do want to explain to you all the top line number and how I arrived at that. In the document itself, the spending plan, the total budget, essentially, for the RDC is projected at $2,191,899.45. Now, how is that number arrived at? I arrived at that number using 3 different, I wouldn't call them projections, just the information then of revenue and what I know we may have potentially have in the bank cash on hand when we cross into 2026. The first number I used is $1,300,786.61. This is what would be in the RDC fund if all unpaid expenses, that is the 3 spending plans that we haven't spent everything down, the remainder of our professional services fee, also technically the $150,000 we set aside in 2025 for the vendor package that we know we're not going to do this year, but I just kept it in there. So that's how we arrive at essentially just over 1.3 million, let's say cash on hand. It's in the RDC fund. Second one is $352,976.48. That represents the property tax revenue we received from the fall 2024 property tax payment that we got in December of 2024, early January 2025. I don't really remember which one it was. And then the third item was $538,136.36. That represents the total amount of property tax revenue we received from the spring 2025 payments that we got in June. I believe it was June. I don't like to estimate. I'm not a mathematician. I don't have a finance degree. I'm a lawyer, and so I don't do well with numbers. I like using what I know we've gotten in the past and assuming a massive and catastrophic dip in assessed property values. My best guess is we're going to continue to get this property tax revenue or around that amount. So that's how I arrive at the end of 2026, potentially our revenue would be $2,191,899.45. So with that, The amounts that are divided into projects and everything, it'll essentially be the most amount of money will go into our quote-unquote projects. RDC activities are allowed under statute. That'll be $1,981,899.45. $60,000 for professional services, pay fiscal consultants, our RDC attorneys, as well as our membership in the Redevelopment Association of Indiana. And also, I think potentially we use that money that is set aside in that category also to pay the public officials bond. The RDC has to have a bond. The city gets the bond for us. It costs a certain amount of money. We pay it in January. $150,000 for the professional services contract or contracts, depending on which way we go, and once we put it out, which vendors are going to bid for what parts of the requirements that we set out, as we have discussed previously. And so that comes out to $2,191,899.45. So that's just the top line number, give you what is essentially in this document, because I'm going to read 4 pages. It's very much pulled from statutes and everything, but I wanted you to understand, hey, when you're looking at this, it's, this segmented amount, this amount, and this amount. Okay. I'll pause for any questions before I start reading, because I'll be reading for a little bit. Again, it's 4 pages, and... Okay. So with that, this is the City of Beech Grove Redevelopment Commission Annual Spending Plan. To Indiana Department of Local Government Finance, Mayor and members of City of Beech Grove Common Council. From Beech Grove Redevelopment Commission President Matthew Kochever. Date October 16, 2025. In regard to the subject line, Annual Spending Plan of City of Beech Grove Redevelopment Commission for calendar year 2026. Spending Plan for 2026. In paren, note, the following represents maximum anticipated amounts. Specific amounts for expenditures will be stated in contracts, MOUs, grant applications submitted by the RDC, other agreements or applications signed by the RDC which require an expenditure to be made by the RDC, and funding applications approved by the Beech Grove Redevelopment Commission. Be permitted to be made under applicable law and are in line with the goals stated in the City Economic Development and Redevelopment Plan for the city's redevelopment and TIF allocation areas. The Beech Grove RDC funding application and funding application procedures can be found on the RDC page of the city's website at www.beechgrove.com /redevelopment-commission, close paren. A, debt payments, in brackets, no outstanding bonds, leases, or other obligations. Total debt payments, $0. B, payments to eligible entities for educational and training programs, e.g. school corporations, pursuant to IC, or Indiana Code 36-7-25-7, $0. The Beech Grove RDC would anticipate spending a maximum of $1,981,899.45 on the following expenditures stated in Section C through K. C, capital expenditures contemplated by the economic development plans or redevelopment plans as amended. Transportation enhancement projects, going on to page 2. Utility infrastructure projects, public park improvements, recreational improvements and equipment, projects to enhance cultural attractiveness, real property acquisition and improvement, equipment and personal property acquisition and installation, permissible incentives. D, grants and contributions. Contributions to local economic development organizations and similar organizations. Contributions to local nonprofit organizations. Grants or loans to enable eligible low-income individuals and families to purchase or lease residential units in a multi-unit residential structure pursuant to Indiana Code 36-7-14-12.2A24. Grants or loans to provide financial assistance to neighborhood development corporations pursuant to Indiana Code 36-7-14-12.2A25 to permit them to A, provide financial assistance for the purposes described in paragraph D4 above, or B, construct, rehabilitate, or repair commercial property. Other legally permitted grants or loans. E, expenditures related to capital or operating expenditures for police or fire services. including such things as salaries and benefits and acquisition of public safety vehicles and equipment. F, payments related to eligible efficiency programs pursuant to Indiana Code 36-7-14-39B4L. G, permissible reimbursements for employee training expenses of industrial facilities pursuant to Indiana Code 36-7-14-39B4K. H, permissible reimbursements of the city of Beech Grove pursuant to Indiana Code 36-7-14-39B4. I, expenditures from proceeds of bonds, including expenditures for residential housing development programs, lease financing, or tax anticipation warrants. Page 3. J, expenditures from state or federal grants or loans, foundation grants or loans, or funds provided to redevelopment commission by other political subdivisions. K, other anticipated expenditures allowed by redevelopment commissions. L, professional services, legal, accounting, project supervision expenses, and other for RDC attorneys, fiscal consultants, and other professional services that assist the RDC in conducting its business. This is in the amount of $60,000. For a professional services contract or contracts to assist the RDC in implementing the City of Beech Grove's Comprehensive Economic Development and Redevelopment Plan once it has been adopted, and other professional services required by the RDC in carrying out its statutory duties. This is the amount of $150,000. M, payment of operating expenses, including employee expenses, generally payable from non-TIF sources only, $0. N, expenditures related to military bases pursuant to Indiana Code 36-7-14-12.2A27, $0. O, expenditures from property tax levy pursuant to Indiana Code 36-7-14-28, $0. Total of A through O, $2,191,899.45. This total amount represents a projected total revenue in the Beech Grove RDC Fund through the calendar year of 2026. There is a star at the end. The City of Beech Grove Redevelopment Commission recognizes that this spending plan has been prepared using information currently available to the Redevelopment Commission, and that unexpected opportunities and needs may arise in 2026, making it appropriate for the Redevelopment Commission to make expenditures not anticipated by this spending plan. Examples could include, among others, 1. Unanticipated opportunities for interest rate savings on debt, which may make it appropriate for the Redevelopment Commission to use revenue on hand to pay down the debt prior to its scheduled maturity, or to issue refunding bonds and spend the proceeds thereof to refinance the debt. 2. Unanticipated economic development opportunities, making it appropriate for the Redevelopment Commission to make expenditures not anticipated by the spending plan in order to provide an incentive for attractive economic development and redevelopment opportunities. 3. The expenditure of gifts from philanthropic individuals, organizations, or businesses. 4. The expenditure of funds from unanticipated state or federal grants. Or, page 4. 5. The expenditures of funds to provide matching funds required for unanticipated state or federal grants. In such an event or other similar events, or if amendments to the spending plan are otherwise needed, the Redevelopment Commission will comply with the instructions set forth in the memorandum attached hereto, which provides as follows, in quotes, if a Redevelopment Commission determines that a previously submitted TIF spending plan needs to be amended, the Commission will proceed with uploading the amended spending plan, period, close quote. That is the end of the spending plan. So we have this on here. I'm going to make a motion to adopt the spending plan as presented.
Can we ask questions at this point?
Once I have a second, then yes, we can ask questions.
Before the second, I do have a question I think we might want to consider. Under, well, first of all, let me just say, I appreciate that almost all of these issues of expenditures are backed by law pursuant to IC, et cetera, et cetera. Except it seems that one is not. And I'm not sure why. Maybe we can get an explanation for that. But letter E, expenditures related to capital and operating expenses for police or fire services is not related to any law. And maybe someone has added that in without it being a law. I'm not sure why it's in there, especially when the fire service that Beech Grove has isn't even a Beech Grove fire service.
Yeah, I'd like a second, please, and then I will answer your question.
Well,
I've asked for,
I'll
I've
make
made a
a-
motion, I need a second. Thank you, Andrew. To answer your question, yes, it is in statute. I'm gonna need help with the section, but it is in 3714. A number of years ago, the state legislature added in that redevelopment commissions can assist public safety organizations in their area with non-capital expenditures. So it is in statute. This is part of it was part of the sample thing that this was put out as. It's on there. This is the same as last year. I'll tell you that I don't anticipate ever using that particular option on there. We have enough stuff to deal with, but it is in statute. I just don't remember which section it's in. In 36.714, but I know it's there because the person who wrote this master document that I think everyone is using, it was already in there.
I just think that maybe we ought to be accurate in the documentation
Sure.
that we're all agreeing to, and if all the other things are pursuant to a particular law and they're documented, then we should document that one as well.
You want a cite to it? Yes, let's see if we can find that site really quick for the record. Because I know it's in there, because I recall that when it was before the legislature, or as it got passed, I get where they were coming from, and some may use it, but, I thought that's like, okay, all right, that's something more, that's a bit beyond what we normally do.
I could definitely see how it might be pursuant to a police department that is the Beech Grove Police Department, but we have a contract with the Indianapolis Fire Department. If there was gonna be some type of additional funding to the Indianapolis Fire Department, I can't see why the Beech Grove RDC could be held reliable. I mean, that doesn't make any sense to me.
Well, no, we would have to agree to spend that money. It's just a category to allow us to spend, but no one's made that ask. It's just
No, I'm just saying, if it's in our budget, then
They'd have to go through the whole funding mechanism that you all implemented last year.
what's that section? I'm sorry, and then, yeah, Andrew?
I'm guessing the reason why this is drafted so broadly is to be able to give us maximum ability to be able to make expenditures, but any expenditure request would have to be approved, and I personally think there are other Beech Grove City budget items that should be paying for police and fire. Well, we don't even have fire anymore.
that's my point.
I completely understand that, but I think under the statute, RDCs are allowed to expend for that, but I don't anticipate this RDC expending for that.
I have the citation map if you want.
Yes, thank you.
It's, IC 36.714.12.2 and was updated in 2023 with HEA 1454.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
You said, okay, 36-7-14-12.2.
Yes.
Thank you. All right, God, I hate the state code online when it doesn't want to work. Okay, but nonetheless, that's a good catch, and if there's not any objections, I will add in the specific citation that's in there, just to make sure that
Thank
that
you,
in.
that's all I was really asking.
Yes, no, you're absolutely right. It's on there. Again, it's, this one was it's not development. I didn't write this. I'm not that sophisticated. It was a draft one that was done by, I think it was the DLGF, but it could have been Ice Miller. Don't quote me on that. Okay, let's see.
If we
Okay.
could just put that in,
Yes.
that would be my request.
I'm completely good with that.
Yes, okay. Let me find the specific subdivision.
Yeah, because it even talks about military bases in here. There's none of those here.
Yes, but that's because of things out in Vermilion County and
But
other
you think like
places.
this, we outsource to
Yes.
our sewer system to a company. Should that be in there too?
828, thank you,
Sewers,
Samantha.
fire
I see it now.
And the sewers both. are
Yes.
ours.
I'm going to, things. All right. I'm in E at the end of the paren after where it says equipment and where the sentence went in. I'm adding after equipment pursuant to IC 36-7-14-12.2 A 28. Got that added on there. Great. Cool. Yes. All right. We'll get that on there. I will make sure that's on the one that gets, if it gets passed tonight, gets circulated among everyone. Again, which I'll probably will do by tomorrow. Okay. All right.
Can I ask one?
Yes, go right ahead. This is now the time to ask questions.
Thank you. It's been approved, I guess, and now we can ask questions about
It's been motioned and seconded. It's not been approved.
Under professional services,
Yeah.
we have attorney fees, fiscal accountants, and other professional services that assist the RDC. We're not limited in this budget to the attorneys or fiscal accountants that we have today, or our professional services. We have the ability to expand those attorneys, consultants, or professional services beyond, in terms of beyond the companies that we're using currently.
No, that's just a general one of, we have this pot of money to pay those types of, yes.
But, yeah, we could have any attorneys or consultants or professional services.
Whoever
within
we
that
need to
budget.
hire, yes. Whatever needs to be done to do stuff.
The city attorney appoints the counsel for all departments.
All right. But that pot is there for the things. And then obviously the other set aside is the 150,000.
So our city attorney could appoint other law firms that we could work with.
Correct. And
Okay.
Could I follow up on kind of
Yes.
what he just asked about? On L there, I assume most of this is the same year to year, but this is a one-time thing for us with the 150,000. The way that's worded, with the first part where it says the RDC attorneys, 60,000, the next part, 150,000, that last part of the sentence, other professional services required by the RDC in carrying out its statutory duties. Is that clear enough? I want that whole 150, I think we all do, that whole 150,000 to go to the firms that are going to implement our plan,
Yes.
not our attorneys.
That is correct.
The attorney funds should come out of the attorney funds, correct?
Yes, that is correct. The 150 will be for the vendor that we will hire, say in the next couple months.
So there's no question with the way that's worded.
That should not be that is a question among us, and I want to be very clear because this is the same as last year. I didn't actually alter this. This is except to add on contracts because if we divide it up and everything. This is the same as last year. Again, it'll be helping to implement, but there are going to be a couple other things where it's like I want talking to the vendors or helping. It's like look at our spending plan application and our procedure. Make recommendations on how to make it better or whatever. Just some other things that are also on there. But yes, no, this will go to the vendors that we will hire
Make sure
in.
that we don't get our 150,000 eaten up by asking
Yes.
questions of our
Well,
attorneys.
yes, but I or whoever will be president again, can't put cart before horse. Just, I'm not Karnak. If so, I would not be here. I'd be rich. I'd be elsewhere, predicting the future. Is that I or whoever is president in 2026, whoever's keeping track of that money and everything, I keep track of those pots and everything. That's not done on the docket and everything. So I believe we seem to be all in agreement on here, and we're all on the same page. That $150,000 is to those contracts that we're going to enter in, let's say, Q1 2026. It's not going to go to be paid anywhere else, and that should be the understanding of any potential successors that may be on this board. Again, all our terms are coming to an end at the end.
But we
But
leave
yes.
the term other professional services in there in case we have to, like you said earlier, ask.
Yeah, I use professional services because that's what it is. It's like it needs to be more generic because we don't know in the end which contracts are going to be with which firms, but we all know they're all going to be professional services. We are getting professional services from them. We're getting people advisory. But yes, but that 150 is dedicated to those vendors that we will enter into contracts to and no one else. That's my anticipation and what I want, and I assume that's what you all want because we've been discussing it and we're all on the same page.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, just a follow-up question.
Yep.
So our attorneys are appointed by the city attorney.
Yes, that's my understanding.
And then once he appoints our attorneys to work for the RDC, then those attorneys report to us.
Yes, they advise us. That's why they're at the meeting, they
But
answer our questions.
they don't report to the city attorney, because now he's appointed them to report to us.
Okay, I'm sorry, I do not know the answer to that particular question. That's getting a little bit beyond my thing. I'm sorry, I don't know.
Can the attorneys report to the city attorney and to us? What if we disagree? I thought they were working for us.
Well, they advise us, but they're also part of the city law department, because Craig runs the law
Maybe
department.
someone could come up and explain that.
If anyone wants to come and explain it, please be my guest, but I've reached the end of my,
I'm assuming you represent the city as.
Oh, could you come to the microphone if you're talking?
Yeah, I'm just saying, I have no attorney, but I'm assuming because you represent the city as the RDC, they represent the RDC by way of the city attorney, so I would say all together, we work together to represent the city. I guess, is that correct? Okay.
so Craig's also our attorney, because he's the city attorney. Okay, all right. Okay. Okay. You have other questions?
Well, I'll go ahead and follow up on this since we're going back and forth. So for instance, when we get our dockets, sometimes when you guys are on there as well as the city attorney, are we paying the city attorney through ours, or is that when you bill us, so he's billing the city? Okay, so that kind of goes against what was just said, doesn't it? I mean, so
I'll talk about this.
he's if he's working for us, but we're not paying him, the city's paying him? I mean,
No.
The
That's
city
what they just
attorney
said.
is over all the legal. So everybody who, their firm and the firm for the BZA, they send invoices to Craig. Craig then sends invoices to me. The only docket invoices that I'm aware of have been paying for these attorneys here, not for Craig Wiley. So that's just a chain of command. So you guys are appointed by the council, so if the council has questions, ask everybody, but you're their direct line to the RDC, whereas the mayor's appointments are the direct line to the RDC as well. So we're all a city working together. It's not like there's something, we should be working together,
No,
yes,
but-
but that's just
but-
the chain of communication. It's not who's in charge of who, it's
but the
just.
point being, sometimes both the city and the RDC are paying attorneys for the same thing. When we get our dockets, they'll be, but well, when we get our dockets, there's both names on there. It'll say, you know, that Bob discussed this with Craig. You tell me Craig's not
Correct,
getting
yeah.
paid,
There will
or
be a charge on Craig's.
Yes.
bill.
yeah. So the city's paying for that end of it. So they're paying if they have an hour-long call, then the city's paying for an hour on Craig's end, and we're paying for an hour on Bob's end.
Yes, because typically that call is because one firm needs something from the other firm. So it's part of the process of them getting here. But Craig is never billed for the time in this room. Like right now, Craig is not billed for that, only they bill for that.
And often I do not charge when I'm talking to Craig.
That is true.
All right. Further questions on the spending plan? Okay. With the update that's been made into E to add in the citation, I'm going to call the vote. All those in favor of the spending plan as amended, say aye. Aye. All those opposed? The ayes have it, and the motion is approved. Okay, motion approved, and I put it on the wrong line, so my notes are all over the place. Motion approved. All right. Here's what's going to happen. I'm going to update the actual copy and PDF it, and then I'm going to send it over to the mayor and to the council, to our attorneys, which will be through the RDC account and everything, so both Samantha and the attorneys get it. Please save that copy into your records. Again, it's always good to have extra, especially our secretary. Whoever has the login for the DLGF uploader, wherever that is, let's get that uploaded by December 1. I will get it to I'm going to tell you this, because the council's meeting on October 20th, and I've seen the agenda downstairs. I'm not going to do this tonight. I will do this tomorrow morning, or at least by tomorrow evening. So you all should expect an email by the evening time. I hope to do it in the morning, but you got to see when I get up. But that'll be done. Get it over to everyone, and so we can put this matter to bed and meet that December 1 deadline. Yes?
Present to the council, correct?
No, I only have to send it to the council. It's no longer, I don't have to present it to them.
Okay, fair enough, okay,
Yes.
thank you.
But they will get it for their records, and if they have questions, they will ask questions, I assume. I do not dispute this council in that they do not ask questions. They ask many questions. Okay.
So a point of interest.
Yes, sir.
You normally give monthly reports to the city council. This past month, you were absent.
Should not be at that meeting. I'm going to jump right in front of you. Including in that email, I'm going to give them an update over the last months where I've not given a report. I have been lax, just with business forgetfulness. So I will update them on the key items that we have dealt with over the last couple of months. So that will be included in the email to the city council, which you will all be on. So.
Yeah, that's what I was going to
Yes.
request.
No,
If you don't give the report, if you would please include us in the report.
You will be, yes. It says, yes, I will CC you all on that, so you will have both things. So,
One last thing, I would just say, I would be willing to volunteer my time if you know that you're not going to be available at one of the meetings as the vice president. I'd be willing to read your report for you and represent the RDC on your behalf.
I appreciate that, and if in case that happens, I will be in contact. I'll let you know.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. All right. Let's look at those minutes. The minutes from September the 18th. Where did I put them? They're right here. Give everyone chance to look these over in case they need to know any corrections or anything. Again, my thanks to Andrew for sending us over the copy of the minutes yesterday with the additional exhibits and everything.
The only one I couldn't fit on was our
The big one, yes, but we have a copy, yes, as long as it's noted,
everybody's
yes.
already got a copy.
Yes.
And
And actually, while you're looking over that, I will just give a note that the declaratory resolution with the copy of the plan is on the Beech Grove website. There is a specific page that was developed back at the beginning of the year about the plan. There is the statement that is there that it's moving through the process. We're going to have a public hearing at the November meeting where it will finally be adopted. There is also a link on our page that links over to that other page. So that is on there. And so my hope is that the residents and business owners of the city will take a look at that in case they do want to participate and speak at the public hearing, because it'll be the last time before we actually formally, the plan is done and has been added into the city redevelopment plan. Okay.
Okay.
Yes, so minutes. And whenever people are done, if someone wants to make a motion to adopt the minutes as presented, go right ahead.
Before we make a resolution to adopt them, we ask questions for changes and adaptations.
Yeah, I think any time, if you see some edits you need to make and
So,
everything,
yeah,
before or after.
First of all, I'd just like to say, I'm always so impressed by Andrew's detail. It's so good, and it's some of the best minutes I've ever been involved with in board meetings. So I always want to say thank you for your attention to detail. But the detail is important because it tells people what actually happened and the way things occurred. And there is I think an oversight here that I think we need to enhance and fix. And it comes into the last paragraph on the second page. You'll notice at the bottom of the page it says, Mr. Copenhaver is hopeful that the attorneys for the RDC will mention this to the city leaders and look at potential alternative path to resolve this issue. That's really an inaccurate statement of what Mr. Copenhaver actually said. And what I said specifically in this request to our law firm was, would you please meet with the company that has had a proposal to acquire this land that is in a TIF zone, and would you please review that proposal and report to us at the next meeting on your advice on how we should move forward.
Okay.
The response that I got from that was, well, we'll talk to the mayor about it.
Okay.
And I said, well, actually, that's fine, but we are the ones who need to vote on this. The mayor doesn't actually vote on this topic. And so we would like you to read that, meet with them, and please come back and respond to us so that we will be advised on it. And of course, the mayor has actually already met with him. I know that from speaking with him myself. So please report to us at the next meeting your advice on how we should move forward on their proposal to acquire the city dump property. That's not what this says, which is what I said in the meeting.
Okay.
So I'd just like to say that I'd like to have that updated with the accurate information of what actually happened in the meeting.
Okay. Well,
And I am
point out.
perfectly fine with amending that. I am not perfect in
No,
going
no,
back
no,
through and
but I know
reviewing
you're so
everything.
good at it, and that's why I wanted to bring it up, because it is an important point.
Okay.
But no, I am perfectly fine, and if you want to send me a proposed sentence or two that you want me to amend it, I would be more than happy to add that
Absolutely.
in.
I'll do
Okay.
that. Sure.
And then I'll just, I guess if we're going to pass the minutes, could we pass them as amended, or should we hold this off?
I would prefer, given the point that was just made, I'd rather hold it off, you work on it, and then you present the minutes again, just so that we have one clean one, because we'd have to do
Makes-
another motion next
yeah.
month to amend it
Makes the
every
most
day,
sense
so
to
yeah.
me as well.
Okay, so we'll hold off on that one, no biggie, we've been counting that before, okay, that's fine.
Somebody answer that question,
Uh,
Mr. Copenhagen?
you wanna ask about Morehouse, this is Morehouse and everything, right?
Assuming, right, you're talking about Morehouse?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure,
So I know that was his question, and you asked
Yep,
him,
yep.
so I did speak with the attorney about it. And Morehouse is offering to, or is looking to sell his portion of the property. He had two interest parties. One was Denny Excavating. I talked to Denny a couple weeks ago, and they said they're no longer interested in purchasing that property. They're just going to focus on the CSX property. So
Focus on what?
their property they own, the old CSX property. They're not interested in the old landfill anymore.
No, they own the CSX property now.
Correct. Yeah.
yeah,
So you mean they're interested in the CSX property? I didn't know what
They're
that meant.
only focused on that. They're not interested in the other property anymore.
Okay.
So yeah.
okay, okay,
Thank you.
all right. Oh, wait, hold on, I don't have everything, give me a moment. Okay, all right, the docket. If you will all recall, when I sent over the agenda and everything, last week I included the updated expenses tracker that I keep track of. Just for the record, I'll go through this very briefly. The first page is the RDC budget line item spend by month. I updated that for September. $147,128.48 came out of RDC projects. That was for part of the community crossing grant, the road rehabilitation. $3,770.20 came out of professional services. Those were the invoices from attorneys and whatnot. And then the final invoice to the REA of $6,541.74 came out. So that REA contract budget line is now complete. It is zeroed out. It is done. Which means that for RDC projects, what remains or what we approved for RDC projects, there's $1,915,293.14 left to spend, and on professional services, $22,978.92. Second page. The RDC Beech Grove monthly account balances. Taking out $157,440.42, what we approved on the docket back in September. As of October 1, I'm seeing that we would have in the fund $1,893,917.16. And then the third one, which is just tracking what's the total balance that's in the fund that's unencumbered. It's not dedicated to a particular project or whatnot. Again, as of October 1, in the fund, $1,893,970.16. Unpaid expenses, the $22,978.22 for professional services, the $150,000 for the professional services contract that we had discussed earlier, the $130,000 for that funding application 2024-5, the stage shelter in the park, the remaining of what's on funding application 2025-1, again, Road Rehabilitation Community Crossing Grant, $14,278.13. And then funding application 2025-2, the roundabout at Arlington, Elmwood, Hannah, $275,865. If all that was paid down, like let's say right now, and everything, we would be left with $1,300,786.81, which is a number you should have heard when we were discussing the budget plan. So that's where we are. So now the docket. Let me do my usual spiel.
Do you have documentation on it? I didn't.
I emailed it to you. I'm not printing Excels. I pay per page to XP. That was in your email that is sent Friday evening. But if you would like to look at this, I'd be happy to give you this one right now because I'm now done reading it. So go right ahead. Okay, so the docket. Everyone has the docket in front of them. This is the allowance of accounts payable vouchers, City of Beech Grove RDC. It reads in part, we have examined the accounts payable vouchers listed on the foregoing register of accounts payable vouchers consisting of one page, and except for accounts payables not allowed as shown on the register, such accounts payables are hereby allowed in the total amount of $20,200.29. Second page, the accounts payable register. There are 4 entries. Entry 1 is to Peters Franklin LTD for professional services. That's our fiscal consultant. That's in the amount of $3,234.16. Second entry is to Lewis and Capps, our attorneys. That's in the amount of $442. Third entry, also to Lewis and Capps, in the amount of $2,237. The last entry is to the City of Beech Grove. This is for the Community Crossing Grant Road Rehabilitation. That's in the amount of $14,287.13. You've heard the docket. Is there a motion to approve the docket?
I guess I'll make said motion.
Thank you, Andrew. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Jenny. Questions on the motion or anything else? Where are my invoices?
And this is the final payment for the 2025-1 Community Crossroads, I
That's
believe.
why I believe so, because that matches what's left in the account and everything. Okay. Aaron, have you go up to the thing. But just, no, someone was going to ask the question, so I'm just going to ask it. This is on the invoice for $442. Just what's the update if I'm reading in here? Help me understand on where we are with the landfill and everything. To whatever you can explain on those entries, specifically the first one about the IDEM response letter, and then I'm interested in the second one about early bankruptcy. Where are we in that project to find that insurance money or whatnot? And is that project almost done? Have you reached the end of the rabbit hole? I don't know. I haven't read Alice in Wonderland in a while.
We're still going through a process. There was going to be a follow-up meeting with the IU, Kansas State EPA people, but the IU people talked to their partners in the solar developers, and the solar developers don't want to proceed until because the landfill is divided between 2 property owners. They have indicated that it would need to be in the same ownership before they feel that it's feasible for development. And the meeting that we were going to have, which we got an invite, came from IDEM, because IDEM is very interested in us proceeding in that way. But the IU folks, their development partners in solar, seem to have a requirement that it be a unified solar field and not in multiple ownership. So that's where we are on that. We're still working with Wessler, and I might let Jim respond to that. But in terms of the legal, that's where we're at. In terms of insurance, we're still pursuing possibilities to try to activate old insurance policies.
Okay.
Can I ask you, would you say activate old insurance policies? What does that mean?
Trigger them by having a claim made against those policies. Because they have kind of stonewalled us, you know, why, you weren't the owner of the land, why should we give you any more information? We're certainly not gonna pay you any money without authorization or without a claim made against it. So there are ways that I don't want to discuss here. Again, this is what I referred to at the last meeting of the need for an executive session if we're going to move forward to this, escalate this process.
Okay,
Yeah,
so,
okay.
I missed my own understanding, if I could verbalize that. So the railroad company who originally owned the land is bankrupt and out of business.
Well, the prime insured, former insured, was a company called Gravely. They were actually a grain company, I believe.
So, but they're out of business.
They're bankrupt.
They're bankrupt,
And
yeah.
so is the
And
ra-
so
is
the
rail-
company who owned the land was bankrupt. The insurance company who insured the bankrupt company who owned it is also
No,
out of.
no, the insurance companies are huge, international, very, very much in business, as well as those that insure the railroads. So it's the business entities, not the insurance companies, that have,
So what is the ultimate goal?
the
that-
ultimate goal would be to trigger payment in a settlement from the insurers to clean up.
So the insurance company who insured the company that's bankrupt and out of business
It's still on the
would
hook.
somehow have to
Yeah,
pay for a dump that was there years later after
on the land, yes.
after they sold the land.
That is correct.
And you somehow think that that's a positive way to return on our investment in legal fees.
It's happened all over the country.
I mean, we pointed out at the last meeting that another site in Elkhart received multiple millions in just such a settlement.
That's not at all, Commissioners, what I've heard from talking to other cities as I've been working through this. What I've been told is that,
We need to discuss this in an executive session, not here.
yeah.
Okay.
Please schedule that meeting as soon as possible.
Well, send me date, okay, we need to, if we want to do an executive session, we need to get on the same page with doing it. We
Yeah.
can't do it at any of the regular meetings, just at the time there, so, you know what, I'm gonna write down a note, here's what we're going to do.
My request would be, let's have an executive session as soon as possible to discuss this.
The attorney would need to be there as well.
Well, that's fine, but before we continue to invest legal fees year after year after year in this process, where I'll just say that I've been advised by other cities who have been down this path, they've said that the chances of doing anything positive in this way are very limited.
Can I ask which cities that was?
No.
Okay. Then RDC.
But you could ask questions.
Got it. Okay. All right. I'll contact the attorneys. We'll see if we can find some time in the next couple weeks, and I'll be in contact with the RDC members to schedule an executive session so we can talk about this more. Okay. Great. Fine. Any other questions on the docket?
I have a question.
Phil.
To our attorneys there on the bottom of the first page, review email regarding 1815 Albany zoning issues. Maybe it's nitpicking at $78, but first of all, why are we still talking about zoning issues with that? Second of all, why are we paying for that? Is it because it's in a TIF zone? And if that's the case, where is the line drawn on
that
charges for things in a TIF zone? Does that make sense to you? Bottom of the
Yeah, 924.
October 6th one there, 9/24/25.
Yeah. What's work that Bob did regarding the 1815 Albany Street, which is in a TIF zone,
I'm sorry.
which is in a TIF zone?
So, but I mean, there shouldn't be any zoning issues. Supposedly they're breaking ground here shortly. That's one thing. And
Well-
number two, why are we paying, so we would pay for anything in a TIF zone? If there's any type of question that if something's in a TIF zone, for future reference more than anything, we get billed for questions about things in TIF zones regardless of whether obviously that doesn't apply to us, it's a zoning issue.
I mean, I think the question came to Bob regarding his representation of the RDC, and so he answered a question and billed it to this matter.
Well, yeah, but I don't understand why it would apply to us. The RDC hasn't been involved since the last RDC agreed to pay to have the building knocked down. And I just, like I said, I don't, $78 is fine, but does that open the door then? Does anything,
I believe, and Bob can correct me, is that the RDC is part of the plan that we were crafting. You had the idea of dividing that into two, having one as a nonprofit. Can they lease it? Can they have another parcel out of that to redevelop in another way?
Yeah.
So I'm assuming, is that what that was?
The developer heard that and was asking
Okay.
about it.
okay, well then let me follow
Ah.
up with that.
Okay.
Then
Alright.
why don't we hear about these things? We've discussed this before. It's, and I don't mean this the way it sounds, but it's our plan, and yet we're not told about it.
Yeah.
We've talked about this, REA talked about it. We've never heard the first word about them, and it's a great idea. And we've never heard a word about them doing that, and now all of a sudden we've got an email. And this goes to what you said earlier about the CSX thing. Again, how hard is it to email Matthew and say, I heard from the guys, they want to keep their property there at CSX, they're no longer interested. We need to work together better in this city.
Oh, I agree 100%.
Well, then
And
do
I mean,
it.
he's meeting on behalf of the city as well with other cities, and he won't even divulge. I just asked him a question, and he said no. So I think it's mutual.
Well, I think that was
we're
in
working
response
each.
to the,
I'm sorry.
I think that was in response to when he asked for the documents and we were told no. I mean, I can only speak for David, but you know.
But yeah, no, I've reached out with many developers in the last few months about this plan, and I'll continue to. So
But
yeah,
we
I
don't
mean,
know a word
all
about
those
it then.
details. I'm sorry.
But we haven't heard a word about it. You've reached out to many developers about that 1815 and splitting that?
No, I'm just talking about in general for the whole entire city.
Well, but like that was
So-
literally in the plan that we just paid $85,000
Correct.
for, and we don't even know about it. And that we're
Right,
never
it
going
just-
to get anything done without cooperation.
I agree
Period.
100%. And here we are arguing over this fee because we have this parcel over here, and I'm excited about it. We have an announcement today that we're going to have a groundbreaking on that.
That's
think we
great.
should
I don't
focus
care
on
about that. I'm asking about
Okay,
this.
well, I do because I think that's a positive.
Well,
thing.
that's great, but
Well, you
that's
just
not
said you
what
don't
this
care
is
about
about.
the groundbreaking, so I don't think
All right,
that's
don't
a fair
change the
statement.
Well, that's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
Okay.
So-
December down.
Well, I would just, in the future, it would be nice if we would learn these things. I mean, that literally is in the
agree.
REA plan, and you get an email, and we don't hear a word
I
about
didn't
it,
get
but
the
we're
email.
supposed to
He's-
pay $48 for it.
He just said that. The attorney just said that. He just whispered that to me. That's what he told
Said
me.
what?
About the developer emailing him about that.
No, I got an inquiry of what's the zoning for that site, so.
I just
Well,
know
yeah,
that
but
that's been a
the
topic
date
of
on it's
conversation.
9/24, today is 10/16 or whatever.
Yeah.
So it didn't just happen. If it happened before,
No, he just told me is what I
well,
just said.
then maybe he needs to respond sooner.
That's
I
fine.
just,
Sure. That's what
I'm
I-
not complaining at anybody. I just wish we would communicate better in this city so we could get things done properly.
I agree.
That's all.
I agree.
Well, then we should start doing it. Thank
I
you.
agree. Thank you.
Okay.
I'm excited. There's a lot of good stuff happening. So and this plan's going to get started. So thank you.
All right. Is there any other questions? All right, hearing none, the motion is on the approval of the docket. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? The ayes have it, the motion's approved. I've given Andrew 2 copies. Well, actually, I've given him 1 copy and he has his. Please sign both of them. One goes back to Andrew and the other one's going downstairs to the clerk treasurer's office.
Did we sign that other, or do we not have to sign
No,
it?
there's no signature line on that one and everything, but you will get a copy tomorrow, PDF for your records. Okay. Where are my notes at? Approved. All right. Thank you. Here you go.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. This one goes over to Andrew. All right, I'm done with the agenda and everything. All right, we've completed our agenda. Is there a motion to adjourn?
I'll make said motion.
Thank you, Phil. Is there a second? I will second. All those in favor of the motion to adjourn, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it. We are adjourned at 7:10 PM. Stand by for the email tomorrow, and there'll be an additional email once I talk to all the attorneys and get some times for that executive session and everything. Thank you all.